All right. Well, thank you, Dean. Good afternoon. For those of you who I don't know, I am Todd Horn with Clayton Construction, and currently I'm vice chair of 10 at the Top. Unfortunately, David Field, our chair, could not join today, so I'm pinch hitting for him, but grateful that each of you are taking the time to join us today. As far as 10 at the Top, we've always had a focus on supporting small business and entrepreneurs. And that's been a focus of ours for a long time, since really the beginning. And we do a lot in that space. And these Tatt Chats that we've been doing here for, gosh, Dean, almost, I guess, 3 years now since COVID, have been incredibly successful. And obviously, many of you have been on these Tatt Chats before, and we cover a wide range of topics through these Tatt Chats. But today, we're lucky enough to have LaTorrie Geer with us, who is the CEO of CommunityWorks. CommunityWorks opened its doors in 2008 as Greenville Housing Fund, a local housing trust fund created from a partnership between the United Way of Greenville County Redevelopment Authority, and the city of Greenville. Since then, they have grown into a diverse community development financial institution, helping to build brighter futures for underserved families and communities all across South Carolina. And we are lucky to have the head of that organization with us today, LaTorrie Geer. LaTorrie has been with CommunityWorks since 2012. And prior to that, she worked as Executive Vice President and Director of Operations at Senior Solutions, where she worked on programs including transportation, home meal delivery, assisted living, and adult day healthcare. She's a graduate, like I said earlier, at the University of South Carolina, Go Cox, where she got her Bachelor of Science in Business Management. So welcome, LaTorrie Geer.
Thank you so much, Todd, for that introduction. Very proud to be a Fighting Gamecock, and I'm happy to be joining you all today. I see some very familiar faces that I've known for quite a while. Hi, Ann. Hi, Mayor. How are you? And so just wanted to be able to share a little bit about CommunityWorks. Todd gave you a little high-level overview of who we are and what we do, but I just want to go a little bit deeper and then be able to answer, give you all an opportunity to ask us any questions. So I'm going to try to share my screen. Can you see my screen? Thumbs up.
It's happening. It's working.
It's thinking about it, Tori.
It's thinking about it. Well, Justin, can you, do you mind sharing?
Not at all.
My Mac does some weird things. Okay, thank you. So the overview of CommunityWorks. Next slide. Who is CommunityWorks? Next slide. This might be a little painful. So CommunityWorks. So we are a nonprofit financial institution, truly committed to building up people and places, those who are underserved in areas where we operate. We use capital as well as some of our expertise and programs that we offer to be able to build up the communities. Next slide. Like I said, our mission, we are committed to building a brighter future for underserved people and places through our equitable financial products and services. And everything that we do is around building wealth. And our vision is truly to be able to have everyone have an opportunity to achieve financial equity and economic mobility. Next slide. So what is a CDFI? A CDFI is an organization that has been able to come into the market to provide, fill a gap. To be able to help individuals tap into or access financial services because they're not able to go to the traditional banks. There are 4 types of CDFIs. You have venture capital funds, credit unions, banks, and also loan funds. CDFIs are more than just a lending organizations. They're typically called Capital Plus. And all of our loans are tailored to fit the needs of the people that we are serving. And we provide support services such as training, coaches that can really help people who are in need. Next slide. We are a loan fund. We're not a bank. We do not take deposits. We provide capital to small business owners as well as affordable housing developers. And through some of our services, we provide down payment assistance and closing costs to first-time home buyers. Our target market and how we have been certified, we serve low-income individuals and businesses, as well as Black or African-American individuals and businesses. Next slide. What is our funding model? We're able to take on debt, we're able to take on equity and grants. As a nonprofit, we do write grants to help support our work. We also have access and tap into our public funders such as SBA as well as USDA. We work with foundations, again, fundraising, as well as local banks. So we exist and partner well with banks because they're unable to work with the clients who do not have the credit to be able to come into their doors. So we work with them. They provide us low income capital to be able to re-lend to those that they're not able to lend to. So that the banks work in a regulatory environment and we are able to work in a non-regulatory environment and take on a little bit more risk. And how we're able to make our money is through the repayment from our borrowers. We're able to collect and earn revenue through fees and the interest off the loans. You can see here we have several affiliations, several memberships. Two to note, SCASED, the South Carolina Community Economic Development Association, as well as the Credit Builder Alliance. The Credit Builder Alliance is very important because as we educate individuals about credit, we're able to pull their credit and go over it with them without it doing anything to their credit score. Additionally, as we provide small business loans, we're able, or loans to developers, we're able to report credit to all three credit bureaus, thus helping them to increase and move their credit score in a different way. The certifications, even though we work in a non-regulatory environment, we do need to make sure that we are doing what we need to do and being good stewards of the funds that have been entrusted to us. So we are certified by the U.S. Department of Treasury, we're certified by the state, and then we're also certified by AARP, which is like a third party, like a Wall Street rating for CDFIs. Next slide. So just a little bit about the history, which Todd did share. We did start out as Greenville Housing Fund in 2008. Then you know what happened in 2008, the market crashed as it related to housing. So we needed to find a different business model. And what our board at that time felt we needed to do was truly focus on the needs of helping people who were not in a good position. So we then began working in the development side, launched an individual development account program where helped individuals provide capital, helped individuals who were saving to purchase a home, go back to school, or start or expand their business. They would save $1,000 and we would then match them with $3,000 to be able to have $4,000 to fulfill one of those dreams or ideas. We learned a lot in that time. And from there, it allowed us to transition it and rebrand our organization to CommunityWorks, which happened in 2012. Next slide. Because we had all the learnings from the IDA program, we launched the consumer lending loan program as well as a micro loan program. And because we were trying to send our clients to our banking partners and they were not able to get mortgages or they were not able to get additional capital for their for their business. And so we then took a huge faith and launched and started chartered a federal credit union that really was focused to help people get out of the cycle of predatory lending. And so we were helping individuals who really had not the A and B paper that could traditionally goes to a bank, but like the D paper. We had the lowest paper. We were trying to help people who did not even have credit scores. Returning citizens, we were helping those individuals. And what we found that through our coaching services that we provided, as long as we were being a good partner to them, they were paying back the loan. But it was still hard work and hard for us to grow and expand the credit union. So we merged with Self-Help Credit Union in 2018. Next slide. So where we are now, the transition, we had a CEO who left in 2019, our founding CEO, and then we had my predecessor, Tammy Hoy Hawkins, who was here through the pandemic, and we saw a lot of growth during that time. And what we truly were focused on was really helping the community get back up and going. We provided a lot of COVID relief programs, utilizing some funds from the Greenville County as well as from the state to be able to help people get back open and get things going. Additionally, we launched a women's business center that serves the 15 county upstate area. Next slide. So some of our programs now. Our loan products, we are able to do affordable housing or commercial loans up to $1 million. We're able to do micro loans up to 50. Any loans over 50,000, we're able to provide capital up to 350,000. And then community loans are their short-term loans for community and or nonprofit organizations. We wanted to be able to truly provide services to support nonprofits, because if they are able to, not have to stress about the work that they're doing to be able to provide their services, we wanted to be a good partner in providing that short-term capital that they may need while they're waiting on a loan or to purchase some type of vehicle or some type of other service that they may need. Next slide. Additional services, any dollars that we put out onto the street, we want to make sure that we have support services around the capital. That helps us to mitigate risk, but also to help build up the capacity of the business owner or the individual who has come through our doors. Like I shared, we have the Women's Business Center where we offer discovery sessions, sitting down with them one-on-one to figure out what their needs are. We have several cohort trainings and academies just targeted for women across the upstate. And it is a women's business center, but we do allow men to participate as well. Additionally, our business support. Throughout the life of the loan for business owners, we provide a coach that will be their person. So if they're having an issue that they need to work out, we have a coach that will work with them to help them overcome some of the barriers that they may be having. And then on the front end, always knowing about where they stand personally with their finances. So we have a coach who is able to do one-on-one coaching around just personal credit, personal budgeting, and how they can develop action plans that can help them reach their goals. I mentioned our home buyer assistance program that is for first-time home buyers, and we're able to provide capital or loans, forgivable loans, up to $10,000 in down payment or closing costs. Next slide. Our lending program, we kind of went over this, but you can see all of the different programs that we have. We even have small loans such as a credit builder loan that will help people who may not be ready for a $10,000 or even a $50,000 loan, but that will help them be able to build up their savings as well as their credit. Next slide. And I've already mentioned the business support, and you can kind of see here the type of support that includes. So on-demand business coaching, as well as helping them on the front end by providing support around completing and learning how to fill out the loan documents, such as a cash flow projection or even profit and loss income statements. Next slide. We've also talked about the personal financial coaching for entrepreneurs. So you can go to the next slide. So what does our portfolio look like for micro business clients? So pretty evenly split, with 58% being going female, tapping into our loan program, 47% African-American, 47% white, 5% veteran. The average income is around $67,000 and their average credit score is around 639. Next slide. The financial coaching, the one-on-one financial coaching, we've served close to 1,500 individuals. It's a little more. We haven't added the 2022 numbers, but you can see the average credit score is 525, which is subprime credit. And you can see the annual household income of 32,000. And the income is important because a lot of people that are coming to us, we're helping to also purchase homes. And then what is the saying? Men typically don't ask for directions. So you can see here that 68% of are female who come and are seeking financial coaching. Next slide. The other portion of who we are and what we do as it relates to lending is affordable housing. Everybody knows that that's a top hot button item that we're looking at right now. And CommunityWorks, as you know, and we mentioned, we started out as a Greenville Housing Fund. So housing has always been at the core of who we are and what we do. And so we have several different products that we offer from pre-development all the way up to the lasagna financing around LIHTC deals. As you know, you may not know, but Greenville Housing Fund 2.0, now Greenville Housing Fund, we actually share space. We actually incubated them, and when we're starting back up, we were the back office support for them for the first 2 years before they were able to begin hiring their team, such as Brian as well as Tiffany. And again, their office, they also shared office here with us. Next slide. I want to be able to share community facility loans because we also do that as well. And you can see the terms and interest rates that we offer. And I will say, when we're talking about the interest rates right now, so typically we do prime plus 2% or 3.5%, depending on the deal. But because COVID was good to CommunityWorks, as to many other CDFIs, we have the cost of our funds are probably less than 1% of our 28 million. And so we're able to be truly competitive now, with the banks to be able to help provide support to organizations who are in need, small business owners, as well as organizations who are in this affordable housing area. We work a lot with Don Oglesby with Homes of Hope. And so through these programs, we're able to be competitive and help them with interest rates. Next slide. Again, I talked about the community loan program and how we're able to work with nonprofit organizations to help them meet cash flow needs. So total affordable housing and community lending, just to give you just a snapshot of where we are. So total since inception, we've been able to deploy close to 16 million, and total development cost of all the projects is around $188 million that we've been able to help come into to be able to provide support in these projects. You can see here we've been able to create or preserve over 1,600 units, and you can see the breakdown of AMI. Of course, we want to be able to help those who are at the lowest level as it relates to their income. So that we're very proud of that 37% of up to 30% of AMI, as well as 32% up to 50% of AMI. Additionally, most of 45% of our funding has went to help to provide support in the rehabbing of units. Next slide. The Home Buyer Assistance Program, I talked to you about first-time home buyers, that being truly the focus. But what we've been able to do is also work with several hospitals as well as some city groups who wanted to provide this program either for the community or as a recruitment and retention strategy for their employees. So Prisma Health, as well as Spartanburg Regional and Beaufort Memorial. We specifically work with them as a part of their employer assistance program to be able to provide this assistance to their team so that they will be more invested in staying and committed to working in the area. Next slide. This program, we have helped over 699 families. We have recently redid the numbers, and the total assistance that we've been able to provide is over $2 million. You can see that it's a little evenly split as to who we're serving. 48% white families, 40% Black, and then we have the Hispanic and Latino market at 11%. And 24% are single parent households. The Women's Business Center, again, I just want to show this picture. We did launch it in the middle of the pandemic, so you can see all of our smiling faces through our mask. Next slide. And really we talked a little bit about what our purpose and the vision is really to empower entrepreneurs through outreach and education and advocacy and support. Next slide. And this is our reach as it relates to the credit union. As it relates to the Women's Business Center. Our organization as a whole is a statewide CDFI, and we have touched just about every county throughout the state through our lending program. The why we exist, financial security here in South Carolina. So 57, close to 58% of individuals do not have emergency savings. 42% are in liquid asset poverty. They do not have cash, and they are relying on credit cards and non-traditional payday loans to be able to pay their bills. We're at 55% of individuals here do not have credit to be able to go and walk into a bank, and still close to 20% are unbanked. They are not utilizing the bank as a partner. They're not even using it to go and cash their checks. Typically, they go and take their check there and pull it out and go out and pay their bills using cash. And today we still have close to 7% who are unbanked, who don't have any type of checking or savings account to be able to live in this environment. Next slide. So our mission is focused on low income as well as people of color, specifically Black households. You can see the median net worth and the disparity between the two. White head of households are their median net worth is around $125,000 compared to not even $10,000 of household of color. You can see the negative net worth, and you can also see who is living in asset poverty. 40% of the head of households of color are living in poverty versus white. And then as it relates to savings accounts, 50% of head of households, people of color, have a savings account versus close to 80% of white head of households have savings accounts. Next slide. And then, of course, the housing unaffordability here, the cost burden that renters are facing. 73% of households, when we talked about that 31% and 50% of the area median income, they are still cost burden. The rent is still too high for them to be able to rent. And then instead of having to pay, work one job, 40 hours a week, many individuals are having to work 91 hours a week to be able to afford a fair market rent, a 1-bedroom fair market rent, which is sad. And I know this number has probably changed, but here we are negative 85,000, a little over 85,000 units and throughout the state. And I think the number here in Greenville, I think that number has gone up as well. Okay, so you can get out of this. You can follow us on all these channels, but that is our why. That is why we exist. We are very happy of the work and the things that we've been able to accomplish. We've had a very a huge life cycle and have had to pivot in many different ways to meet the needs of the community. Where we're going from here, we will continue to be focused on the upstate, which is our home, but we also have a presence in the Midlands where we're providing the same programs around affordable housing and small business lending. And then most recently, we are managing, because of the work that we were able to do with the Greenville Housing Fund and getting them launched and rolled off and being their back office support, we're doing the same for Beaufort and Jasper counties in the Low Country. So we have taken on the responsibility of managing their housing trust fund. 8 local municipalities in the 2 counties joined forces, used some of their AARP funds to be able to support the work in that area. It's a very unique model. As you know, bringing 8 municipalities together is very political and takes a lot of time to be able to pull off something like this. But of course, they were all very committed to finding and helping to solve the issues around affordable housing in their region, specifically for workers there who, work at the hotels and work in the restaurants, who typically have to drive an hour plus to get to their jobs in that area. So I will stop right there and see if you all have any questions for me.
Well, perfect, Tori. That is excellent, and really appreciate kind of that overview. We have quite a number of questions, so we'll get right to it. The first one from Steve Hall. I think Steve, maybe she answered at some level by showing kind of the folks, the income levels of folks that they work with. But Steve's question was around what you all define as low income.
Under 80%.
There you go. So talk a little bit, Evelyn Blakely asks about the application process. What is the and you mentioned that you work in all the counties, so it's certainly available for folks, from all over the upstate, but what is the application process, and how can people who maybe aren't familiar with CDFI or with any of the work that you guys do can plug into CommunityWorks?
Yeah, so all the information that I really discussed here today can be found on our website. Even the AMI levels of the different counties can be found on our website. You can apply for a loan on our website and also see the different trainings that we offer through the Women's Business Center. That information can all be found on our website. As it relates to the qualifications of loans, it depends on the product. And typically it is definitely bank statements. We look at your profit and loss. If you don't have it, like I shared, we have a pre-loan coach that can help you get those documents together. And I will say what makes us unique in our lending, especially for the small business side, on the small business side, is we're not credit score driven. We look to see, have you paid anybody back? Are you paying people now? And can you afford to repay it? Either through your business or through your personal income. And so I think that is what makes us different from in our lending products as well. I hope I answered your question. A lot of information can be found on our website.
What is the timeline for that, Tori?
For a loan? So it depends. It depends on the potential borrower and how quickly they can get the documents together or what support that they may need. If they have all their documents together from application to closing will probably take about 3 weeks. And the reason is because we're manually underwriting these loans, manually underwriting them. And then they also have to, some of them have to go to our external loan committee, which consists of some of the banking partners we discussed, as well as other individuals who may have more experience than what we have internally.
Perfect. And do you refinance? Is that something you guys do?
Absolutely. We have refinanced business loans who have had higher interest. We have refinanced affordable housing loans, just depending on the deal. Now, affordable housing is a little bit different. It's affordable housing loans or affordable housing loans. We can be a little bit flexible in our rates, and as well as how we amortize the loan and extending it out so that it can be a little bit more affordable, but the deals have to cash flow.
Perfect. I, of course, served on the board of CommunityWorks at the time when you were transitioning from the Greenville Housing Fund to CommunityWorks, and we're building that regional portfolio and regional network. Ann Wright asks how your board process now is. Are you looking for people with certain expertises, and what is there a nomination process for someone to join your board?
Yeah, so I will say we are going to be looking for new board members. Our board size got away from us when we're statewide, but when we were expanding more regionally with Anderson and Spartanburg initially at that time. I think Dean probably remembers that. And so we're trying to consolidate it a little bit, but also make sure that it is reflective of the community we're trying to serve, as well as the geography that we serve. And so we will be, and have in the past done nominations, but we will be looking for some new board members who can help with some fundraising, as well as who have a legal degree or has some governance. And then also anyone can, not anyone, but everyone has the opportunity to serve on any committee as well, and not necessarily be an official board member.
Great.
And so
Looks
to
like we have
do that, I would say contact me if anyone is interested right now in serving. Did we lose Dean?
Oh, I think I froze for a second, Tori, or you froze or something. It's this wonderful internet. My hamster got tired, I think. But thank you. So I think what you said was the processing. Go through your website to find out about that. We have just a couple final questions. One is, do you all provide information and support in Spanish?
We do. And our website should have a button where you can click it and switch it to Spanish. But I will say that we've been very intentional about our hiring. And over the past 2-3 years, we now have, because at one point it was very difficult to serve that market, but now we have 3 individuals on our team who have the ability to who can speak Spanish as well.
Great. And then the last question, I don't know that you can get into the nuances of this, but it's related to the different housing assistance numbers. Evelyn asked about in Northside, there's or Northside is $5,000 and the city is 30 or vice versa. I'm a little confused there, but you may be familiar with how does it work more, more generally about, you mentioned different communities, we have the mayor of Simpsonville and some other elected officials on. If a community wants to incentivize affordable housing and mortgages for folks in their area, how would they do that, and what do those differences look like?
So it's up to the community. So all of those funds that or organizations that we help, they provide the funds for us to administer. And how we're able to provide that support is because we are HUD certified to provide down payment and closing cost assistance, whether it's an FHA or what's the other one? USDA, as well as, the traditional one. And so those organizations are able to come up with their own guidelines that we administer. For example, Northside is able to do up to 30,000 because they have the funds to do so. The hospital can go up to 10. So it depends on what they want to do. Most of them are forgivable over 5 years. If they leave before 5 years, then it works as a recapture. But how that works is the individual has to be mortgage ready. They have to have identified a home and are getting ready to close. That process probably takes like 30 days to close if all the pieces are working together.
Great. Well, Tori, thank you so much for sharing with us, and CommunityWorks has been doing amazing work in a couple important areas. One of our board members, James Bennett, who owns Upstate Home Care Solutions, started with support from CommunityWorks and has been able to leverage that and other things into creating a great business. So it's a good example and a model. And of course, through Craig Sharton is on, who leads our entrepreneur ecosystem program, and we focus on trying to connect people to resources or make sure people are aware of resources. So you guys have such a great plethora of tools to help small businesses, entrepreneurs, and individuals. So we really appreciate you taking a few minutes to share this information with us, and your contact information, if you want to put it in there. We did share your website address so folks can reach out to you directly if they have any more questions.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I will add my information into the chat. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And Justine, I will turn it over to you to introduce our resources.
All righty. Thanks, Dean. Hey, everyone. I have the honor to introduce a couple of resource updates today. Let us start with Patrick Cobb from AARP Upstate. Take it away, Patrick. You're muted. I was going to give you a minute there.
There we go. I'm sorry, I was on two screens and my monitor didn't want to turn on the mute button. So yay. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with y'all in the chat today. I'm with AARP. I've been with AARP for 22 years. And just to give you a little bit of background about what we're doing in the upstate, now that we're, as I call it, PP post-pandemic, we're now allowed to get out and do fun things. And so we're starting to, this past month, I've been in Greenville, I think more times than I've been in my home in Columbia. So I may have to pay property taxes in Greenville County before it's all over with. But working with recruiting volunteers to do our AARP mission in the upstate and Greenville area. And so we're very fortunate to have found some great folks who are going to be working with us. We're going to be doing events for our members. We're partnering with the city of Greenville with their Friday night event concerts on Main Street. So come see us. And we'll also be doing our Movies for Grown-Ups series. We have a movie screening on the 20th of March over on Woodruff Road. And I can't remember the name of the movie, but it hasn't been released yet. But that's going out shortly as well, too. But we also have resources. We have been partnering with the Better Business Bureau of the Upstate for years doing the Strut events, and we'll continue to do those in the springtime. And there goes my phone. Sorry about that.
Didn't even hear it.
So we're doing that. And we're also looking at doing partnerships and building community teams and doing some listening sessions around the upstate. So if you'd like to have lunch with me, I pick up the tab for lunch and like to talk to people. So happy to get involved in the upstate. I think it's a great opportunity for us as we're looking at this regional approach to pushing out our work from Columbia. Finally, it's taken us a long time to get to this point, and we're excited about doing that. But we just have lots of resources, whether it's caregiving, whether it's financial fraud, and the presentation talking about predatory lending and the perils that folks go through and that situation as well too. There's actually a House bill or a Senate bill right now, 518, that's floating around in the Senate and a subcommittee that can't get to a full committee because the payday loan industry is trying to just thwart some efforts of doing some good work for folks. So just a little bit of good stuff going on there, but I can be reached via email at pcobb@aarp.org. Very easy to do that. And I apologize, I'm missing a contact, so I can't see the screen. It's my up close contact. I can see far away, but it's somehow I had a tear in it and I can't see the screen. So I don't know who I'm actually talking to. So I apologize for that. My eye looks a little wonky, but when you wear bifocal contacts, it's not fun when you don't have one to make the work doing the other one. But happy to be a part of this group and appreciate the invitation to be involved today.
Thank you so much. Would you please, if you can see, or I can do it for you too, pop your email in the chat for people.
Sure, yeah, I can see the chat there. Not a problem at all.
And then I just wanted to ask, I might be getting ahead of you, but are you, do you have a goal to set up a group in each county?
Right now we're focusing on Greenville and we're casting our net in Greenville County, which is basically our largest concentration of volunteers in the upstate. Our membership numbers, and we're going to be spreading out. We have a very active group in Anderson that's already there, and we had kind of a semi-group in Spartanburg. We lost some of our folks, passed away, and so we've got to rebuild over that way. But we're looking to venture out, and we've had some good interest from folks in the upstate who want to be volunteers. And that's the interesting thing about seeing people like, well, I can do it this day of the week, or I can do that day of the week. As we all know, volunteers are volunteers, and you take them when you get them. And these folks are some really good folks, and I've met some folks who want to get involved. They're ready to get out of the house, is what they were telling me. They were tired of being at home.
Yes, great, sounds good. Thank you so much for sharing that. So if you put your email. And then the website, probably everybody knows, but you can pop that in there. And if you need any assistance with anything in particular, feel free. Now let's talk to Kelsey Sanders with Wholespire now.
Thank you. I have some slides. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Not at all. Go for it.
Okay. I wanted to do a quick overview of our nonprofit and the work that we do. Just it might not be as familiar, and then I'll hopefully you'll hear in the work that we do some ways that you might connect with us. And then lastly, at the end, I'll share some specific things that might be of interest to the group as well. So my name is Kelsey Sanders. I'm the Community Relations Manager with Wholespire. Our mission is that we provide communities with proven and sustainable approaches that lead to increased access to healthy choices for all people. So what does that mean and what does that look like? We have three primary areas that you'll see us working. So we do state and local advocacy. We also work in the space of youth engagement, specifically through something called the Hype Project. And then most of my job is spent in our community action, working with community coalitions called Wholespire chapters. So first, our state and local advocacy. These are some specific bills and items that are on our legislative watch list for the current legislative session. So I'll give you an idea of the type of work that we do and the things that we advocate for. The first is a free school meals bill. So that is what it sounds like. It's also referred to as universal school meals. So this bill seeks to ensure that all public school students receive free breakfast and lunch. The second one is recess extension. Recess tends to be one of the first things cut in the schools. When we're looking at trying to improve test scores, we tend to send the kids back to more time in the classroom. It's also one of the first things that is taken away as a disciplinary action, but we see through data and research that in fact students perform better, have fewer discipline issues, do better on tests the more active that they are. And so we advocate for recess as well as PE in schools whenever possible. Lastly, we have the Healthy Bucks budget proviso, which is Healthy Bucks, if you're not familiar, is a great program in South Carolina where SNAP recipients can spend $5 on fresh South Carolina grown produce and get $20 worth for $5. So that's another program that we advocate for in South Carolina. You can find all of this information on our website in the Advocacy Center. We do have some current action alerts and some actions that you can take if you are interested in being a part of this effort. So please check it out if you're interested. Secondly, like I said, we work in the space of youth engagement through the HYPE project. This is a curriculum that was designed by my former coworker, Tremise Carter. It's a wonderful process that kids get to go through ages 12 to 17. They go through a curriculum where they learn the basics of nutrition and physical activity. But in addition to that, and maybe even more important, they learn skills to be a voice for change in their community. So they learn kind of the process for when you see something in your community that you don't like, what should you do? Who can you talk to? Who are the decision makers? When is the county council meeting that you can go to? How do you get on the agenda? Some very practical skills to teach students how to become advocates in their community. And it culminates in the youth completing a project. So when they're done with that training, they're able to get about $1,000 to $1,500 to implement a project that they have selected as a need in their community. So the third space that we spend a lot of time, and me personally, I spend a lot of time in that. The community work is sort of where I spend all of my working hours. But so we have something called Wholespire chapters, which are community coalitions, groups of volunteers who are working to increase access to healthy choices, specifically healthy eating and active living, although they can choose other things as well. I highlighted in yellow the ones in the upstate, so the ones that you might have the opportunity to connect with. So it's a really wonderful thing to be a part of. I might know a list of strategies that would be helpful to increase access to healthy food and places to be active, but only the community itself knows which ones are the best fit and which ones are going to be successful. So the community coalitions really drive that work. I'm there to sort of provide assistance as needed, and share opportunities and things like that with them. So if you work or live in any of these counties and you're interested in increasing access to healthy choices, we'd love to have you participate in those coalitions. It's great to have diverse partners at the table, so please consider that. And then I also wanted to take a minute to share a few examples of what this work looks like. Whenever I share about Wholespire, I feel like it can be very abstract, hard to really conceptualize, but what are you actually doing? So I have a few examples of the types of projects that coalitions and community partners are working on that I just wanted to walk through as well. So the first is a project that was done with Wholespire, Cherokee County and Cherokee County schools. So an open community use policy was passed at that district level, which is a model policy that says that community members can use school grounds outside of school hours and school events. And so they passed that policy, and then were able to raise some funds to get a walking track at Grassy Pond Elementary School. And so it's a huge asset to the students themselves. They started a before school walking program that over 200 students participated in. And then in addition to that, because they have that open community use policy, we saw that the community members were also benefiting from that as well. So it's a paved flat track, which is amazing for the elderly in our communities and people with disabilities, that they can access something like that for free is an incredible resource. So that's an example of one project. This is a project also in the upstate in Spartanburg, a mini grant project that we did in partnership with the South Carolina School for the Deaf and the Blind. If you've had the opportunity to go there, those buildings are pretty old. And so the school was at the point where they were ready to replace those drinking fountains, and they applied for some funding to add the water bottle refill station. So providing an opportunity to get free water for the students. So that's what the left-hand picture is. And the picture on the right is actually an outdoor water bottle refill station that is near the track, which is also open for the community to use outside of school hours. So these are sort of access projects, and that is really the work that we primarily focus on. And then lastly, I'll share this project also in Spartanburg. This was sort of a unique project for us. We partnered with Go Forth Recovery. They applied for a grant from us for a basketball court at an addiction recovery center. And so we only gave them $5,000, but they were really able to leverage this to make a huge impact. The picture on the left is where they started, and the picture on the right is this beautiful basketball court that they created. So like I said, I don't think it was just $5,000 that got them that far. They got great partnerships, and they had people come out to help volunteer to do some of the work. And it's just great to see that connection between physical and mental health. We know that, physical activity is great to prevent chronic disease, but we also know what a value it is to mental health as well. So to see that connection by partnering with the recovery center was really neat. So those are a few examples, again, to just give you an image of the type of work that we do and what the coalitions are working on as well. So I did want to give just a few specific ways that you might connect to the work that we're doing, some things that are coming up. So I mentioned briefly, we do have mini grants. So I wanted to share that with you all. They open June 1st annually and close July 15th. Those are approximate dates, just depends on what day June 1st falls on. So sometimes it might open June 3rd, but around June 1st, and they close around July 15th, depending on the year. Those funds typically become available on or around October 1st. The request can be up to $5,000, and they must be a PSC change, which stands for Policy, System, or Environmental Change, and they must address healthy eating or active living. And consultations are available beforehand. You can reach out to me, and I'd be happy to talk through an idea that you have. We do fund nonprofits. We fund municipalities, churches, schools, coalitions. So it's wide open to whoever is interested. So we'd love to see that, see any applications from you all as well. And then if you're like, what is PSC? Tell me more. It's a requirement, but I don't know what that is. Here's an opportunity to learn about it. So we have a training come up. We do offer virtual trainings from time to time. So this is a webinar that myself and two partners from USC SNAP-Ed will be doing on the PSC approach. Like I said, that's policy, systems, environmental change, really focusing on access and the environments that really shape our behaviors. So that's the sort of focus of the work that we do at Wholespire. And then lastly, I wanted to share, we historically at Wholespire have done an annual conference or summit. We stopped during COVID. We did one fully virtual conference, and we said we were never doing that again. It was so hard. So now we're back to in person, and we're so excited to bring everyone back together. So would love to have any of you there who are interested. Registration is open, and the early bird rate is still going. So I would love for you to consider attending. It's open to anyone who is interested in that increasing access to healthy choices, especially healthy foods and places to be active. So that's it for me. This is my email address. Feel free to reach out if anything piqued your interest or you'd like to work with us in any way. We'd love to collaborate.
Thank you, Kelsey. That's the second time I've seen that presentation, and I still love it. I just get so excited about all the work that you do. I'm glad we had a little extra time today so you could go get through those. Dean, unless you have anything you'd like to share.
I do, a couple. I'm closing because Todd had to go off to another meeting. So Justine, thank you for that. Annalise, if you could please put the registration information for our next Tatt Chat coming up in April. We have Jeff Brown from the Greenville Drive. It's baseball season already. Had the great pleasure of being at the Carolina Clemson game at Floor Field on Saturday, and it was absolutely beautiful. So looking forward to the opening of their season in about a month. And Jeff will be with us. Those of you who have been on our Tatt Chat since we began 3 years ago will remember that Jeff came on the first time when they were canceling the season, and certainly it was a downer, but good information at the time, and kind of gave us an awareness of what was going on. And certainly the Drive and their team continued to be engaged in the community even when there wasn't baseball. So now that things are back up and going, and they've actually got some really cool renovations and updates at the stadium. So looking forward to that in April on the second Thursday, which Justine, the date is I didn't hear you. What?
Second Tuesday,
Thursday.
Thursday.
The second Thursday.
13th. I
The
should know that our
13th.
Connect is the 14th, April 13th.
There you go. I guess I should look at a calendar. So April 13th, we'd love to have you for that. Justine mentioned the Upstate Connects. We actually have one tomorrow here in Park 37, our complex, focused on the Safer Upstate initiative, community safety. We got a number of law enforcement officers and community leaders talking about how we continue to connect law enforcement in our community to grow the understanding and value of all residents here in the upstate region. So that should be a great session tomorrow. And then we'll be announcing the April 14th Tatt Chat, which will be in Anderson County. So we're excited about that. It'll be at the Tri-Counties Pendleton campus. So a lot of great things going on across the upstate. Again, want to thank Tori for sharing about CommunityWorks, and also both Wholespire and AARP. Seniors have been a big, the needs of seniors has been a big emphasis of Tatt at the Top since the very beginning. So AARP does a lot of great work in that realm. And we have been partnering with the health office of DHEC here in the upstate on data walks, health data walks across the upstate, and all of the Wholespire chapters that Kelsey mentioned have been great partners in having those walks in the different parts of the upstate. So we really appreciate that as well. So I don't know, Justine, without David, we're getting done 3 minutes early today. So I think we're doing pretty good. Todd got us started and we're going on. But again, want to thank everybody for being with us. It's great to see so many familiar faces, and hopefully I'll get to see you in person at various things in the coming weeks. And then hopefully you'll be back with us on April 13th for our next Tatt Chat. But have a great rest of the day and weekend, and we will see you soon.